Let's come back to that live shot we have of Tel Aviv. And that is location for someone who's now joining our CBC News team on the ground of Israel, where she has spent so much time in her reporting career. Margaret Evans is live with me from Tel Aviv. And as you see, Margaret, in the background there, this is a vigil. This has to do with the hostages Hamas has taken, nearly 200, the last number from Israeli authorities. Margaret, good to see you. I'm looking forward to your reporting on this critical story. What is happening there? Describe what's going on and the story that you're telling this morning.
Well, Heather, we are on the other side of the street, where you can't see, is the Israeli Defense Ministry. The people opposite, they're holding pictures, as you say, of the people believed to have been taken hostage by Hamas. As you can see, they each have a flower, picture of a loved one, and they're trying to deliver a message to the Israeli government to bring their loved ones homes. There are some people who are holding up placards saying, a deal, a prisoner exchange, bring our people home. Obviously, they're worried about what the impact of any Israeli ground war and ground invasion into the Gaza Strip might have on hostages being held on the other side of that Israeli-Gaza border. A lot of anguish on the street here, and a lot of anger, too, because some people believe that the Israeli government, the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, contributed to the lack of readiness or preparedness that some people say existed ahead of this attack. There's been a lot of internal division in Israel, obviously several rounds of elections, and a very hard-right government. And there's an echo, if you like, of those divisions in terms of how people think that the hostages should be brought home. But I also need to just emphasize, you know, when you look at the pictures that people are holding up, the other thing that is happening here is that on a day-to-day basis, you're starting to see more and more videos emerging of what people went through as that Hamas rampage went on, people who died, people who were taken hostage. And it's like a re-traumatization for people. And the man who set this vigil up or started it is a man whose name is Avichaim Brodst. His wife and 2 children have been taken hostage, he believes. And he came here in the middle of the night to set up this protest, and he's been joined by all these other family members, but also people who support the Israelis trying to get their families back.
And Margaret, as I understand it, there is a Canadian connection to that man or to the family involved?
That's right. His brother Aaron is a Canadian. He lives in Toronto. He came immediately to help support his brother and to try to do what he can to add his voice to what's happening here. He talked about one of the daughters of Avichaim Brodst, who has been taken, a 10-year-old, best friends with his own daughter. He said how she was visiting Canada this summer. He talked about how difficult that was for him. And of course, there's a lot of attention being focused on the hostages now since the release yesterday by Hamas of a video of a young woman identified as one of the people taken by the Hamas militants into Gaza. We can't tell you when that video was made. We can't tell you what her condition is now, where she is, but it has raised the prospect or the attention on the possibility of prisoner exchanges, because a former Hamas leader then came out and said, we believe we have enough hostages to demand that Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails are released. So, of course, the tension here is enormous. We've also seen the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, visiting some of the families a few days ago and pledging to them that the war against Hamas in Gaza is not about just annihilating Hamas. He says it is about bringing the hostages home safe and sound. No idea how that's possible, no plans at this point. Some of the families that we spoke to said they very much welcome that. They don't want the attempt at eliminating Hamas to be stopped, but they do want the army to do everything they can to bring the hostages home.